Steps I Took podcast. Like, I actually want to say this one, and we can always cut it out if it's wrong, but I think this is the 10th episode, isn't it?
I don't know,
I think it is,
more.
As in, I think it'll be the 10th episode that goes live.
That we release.
So I think we've recorded more. But, so no pressure for our guest today.
Double figures.
But yeah, I think that deserves a round of applause. 10 episodes.
Well done, consistency.
We love this for you guys.
Yeah, after a year of prep. But I'm excited about today's guest, Anisa Ismail. Like she told me basically that she's like maybe not in the exact words, but an addiction specialist, and that kind of just piqued my interest. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like, because I'm sure every single person in this world is addicted to something. Are you addicted to anything, Achasa? Putting you on the spot.
I don't have any PG answers.
Fair. Okay, yeah, fair.
What are you addicted to?
I'm addicted to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm addicted. I've got the biggest sweet tooth. And I think a lot of people would say I am probably addicted to the screen a little bit as well. Like my phone and stuff.
Some people would say.
Yeah. And I think that just brings us nicely into our guest, Anisa Ismail, because I know you work with people that have an addiction, in particular to screens and stuff. And I think actually before we even delve into all of that, we have a tradition on the podcast.
We want to know what's been the best part of your week so far.
The best part of my week is, so I have a friend visiting from the States. Being able to spend time with him and our other friends, and we had a fun weekend.
Nice.
So that was like a good start to the week. I think the weekend, how that goes, kind of plays on the way your week starts. So that was good. It was really wholesome. So yeah.
Nice. And okay, so before we get into what it is you do today, it's always a good point to start at the beginning, So like, what was life like for you growing up? Obviously, you're now living in the UAE, but at one point you weren't, right? So
So thank you guys so much for having me on the show.
Pleasure.
And congratulations. I love that fact that you guys have been doing this, and I love the space. It's really calming. So we're just talking about that off camera, how...
Yeah.
We just want you to be comfortable so you can tell us everything.
Yeah, it gives me just like chill vibes. So I am from London, but my family were originally Somali, and so I was born and raised in London. I come from a big family. There's too many of us. It's like 12 of us. And growing up in such a big family, you kind of felt like I wasn't really missing anything because my parents were really big on just like family, doing fun things over the weekends, going to the park, really just doing things unplugged, right? We didn't have technology back then. Well, we had computers had just come out. We had a couple of things. But it was always, I remember my childhood was always around like spending time with cousins and family and stuff. And I do say like the way that I grew up in London, I think prepped me for moving abroad because I was always around different people, different characters, different personalities. And then when I was in my second year of uni, I was like, I really just want to do something different. And I thought my professor had introduced me to the idea of like study abroad, work abroad. And she was like, have you heard of a place called Abu Dhabi? And I was like, what, you mean Dubai? Abu Dhabi? And she was like, no, Abu Dhabi. Have you heard of a place like that? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, we're opening up a nursery in Abu Dhabi. And I was studying early childhood education at that time. And so she was like, why don't you just go for a year, your final year, you can, online learning back then. She's like, you can finish and just come back for your exams and see how it goes. And I said, okay, well, I'll try. But trying to convince my family of, living abroad as a East African, Somali girl, Muslim girl, it was like such a taboo. It was like, you're not married. Well, where are you going? So that was, I think, the first hurdle of like any challenges in my upbringing was just me deciding I wanted to do something different that nobody in my family had done. Not all my siblings, everybody's still in London. So it was like, I was like, let me do something different. And so, yeah, that kind of pushed me to move to Abu Dhabi in 2011. So,
what gave you the courage to go against the grain?
Honestly, I say this now, like I look back at it now and I'm like, I was just really stubborn. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I was just really stubborn. In my culture, stubbornness is like such a bad quality. But to be stubborn towards something good, I think there's no harm in that. I think a lot of people were unsure just because 2011 was when the Arab uprising was happening as well in Egypt and different parts of the Middle East. So everybody was unsure about the security and the safety of the Middle East. But and this was before Dubai was cool, right? People didn't even know Dubai. It was way before any of that. So to say that I wanted to just at 20 move abroad was shocking to everyone. So I thought, let me try. If it doesn't work, I'll always come back home. Always. Like, home is always going to be there. So I took it as that. And I stayed for a year, finished uni, and then met someone and ended up getting married. And that kind of helped me stay longer because my family were like, okay, well, she's married now. So, you know, she's going to be okay. So that kind of, you know, helped me stay a little longer. But yeah.
So interesting. So when you came here, obviously you were finishing your degree, so you became a teacher, right? And then I guess you taught for quite a few years.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was at the nursery, the one that my professor was saying she opened for 2 years. And then when I got married, I got a position in Zayed University. And that took me to a different level of teaching because I was not only teaching kids at that point, I was also teaching university level students to be teachers. So it was such a unique position. And so I was working there at the College of Education for about 6, almost 7 years. And that was a different experience because it wasn't the normal government job that everybody else had where they were just teaching kids. I was teaching adults and kids. But this is where I identified the same issue of screen addiction because it was in the kids and the students. And it was like, well, how do we have the same issue for these two different age groups, you know? So, yeah.
So when you identified the screen addiction, I guess with kids and adults, what was the next thing for you? Like what you decided to do in that sense?
So this was 2017. So by then I had been teaching for a while and the year before I had just gone through the whole divorce and it was just a whole turmoil of emotions. But I knew then that I had wanted to do something different. It was a big life change and I was really kind of determined to do something beyond just teaching. Because with teaching, you kind of have like a peak and there's like either I go into academia, do my master's, PhD, and do all of that, or I take the entrepreneurial route, which I thought would be, again, something to just try, because I can always go back to teaching. You know, I always kind of had that thing of like, there's choices. You could always go back to something. You could always move forward. You could always do something else. So 2016, I had gone to Vietnam and I was watching a group of kids just play with this like makeshift football that they made out of like plastic and stuff. And they were kicking it about and they were just having so much fun. And I was just kind of like, well, I don't remember the last time I saw kids in Abu Dhabi just kind of like kick a ball about. Like these kids don't even have a ball and they're kicking it about, you know? So I came back to Abu Dhabi and I was talking to one of my colleagues and I was like, okay, let's have a fun day today where the kids, because at that point, the kids would have had iPads and had access to technology, especially in Abu Dhabi, they had it really early. And my colleague was like, no, we can't take it away. Like it's theirs. We can't take it anywhere. So then I tried it for a day. You guys, can you imagine taking iPads away from like 10 4-year-olds?
They scream.
Yo, I was scared for my life. It was like, no, Anisa, no, screaming and shouting. And I was like, what is happening? They were biting and kicking and fighting. This is 2017. This is before COVID. And I said, this is an issue. This is a problem because they're just 4. They're 4 years old and we have this issue now.
And a 4-year-old can have fun with like a box.
Please, anything. Car keys, simple things. You can give them a whole thing and what happened to them just having fun on their own. So when I did that, I saw that, okay, we really have a problem. And then I would have conversations with parents and parents would be like, but we don't know where to take them. If it wasn't sports or gymnastics, they were like, we don't know what to do. So I was like, okay. And that's where Kids Unplugged was born. So initially I had still been working a little bit, but started the program as an after school thing. Something I would call like the homework club. It was like a fun thing where they do their homework, but they come and they, you know, socialize with other kids and they're able to play different games and like kind of like a fun game night.
Learn how to play away from a screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And socialize as well.
And socialize. And that was the biggest thing, because a lot of children, especially expat children, can't, it's hard for them to meet other kids outside of the school environment. So a lot of it was them socializing.
Oh, sorry. So this after school club that you made wasn't at your school where you're working, it was outside.
It was outside, yeah.
Oh,
It was different
amazing.
communities, and I was going to different places. I always say I started my business in my car because I was driving around and I had loads of like boxes of things, and I'd go to different community centers and different spaces in Abu Dhabi and just kind of run the program. I'd go to different schools and run the program for them as well.
What,
So, yeah.
What would you say causes that addiction to the screen?
So there's a lot of variables, especially now. Now that's gotten worse. I would say since then it's gotten worse because of the COVID. It kind of accelerated it all. But I say screen addiction, essentially, especially for young children, comes from a lack of something else. It's filling something, and it also comes from the importance that parents have taken away from children just being bored.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Kids need to be bored. Boredom sparks creativity, independence, imagination. All of that has gone out the window the minute that they are not doing any of that. So,
And that counts for adults and children. Right?
yeah. When was the last time any of us sat down and were bored?
You know, it's mad because I remember when I was a kid, and I remember like distinctly like saying to my mum or dad, "Oh, I'm bored," or
Yeah.
like.
And what would she say?
She'd be like, "Use your imagination."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally,
You see what I mean?
yeah.
When was the last time we've had any of that? A kid would be like, I'm bored. And then, okay, you're bored. Okay, let me give you this and give you that. I'm like, no.
Also, it's easier for a lot of parents. I don't have children, so I can only empathize with them when you have so many things to do, especially living in this country where we work so hard.
Yeah.
You're tired.
Yeah.
I used to say as a teacher, I don't know how these teachers be doing it with children.
Right.
It's
No,
a lot.
it takes a lot.
So I
yeah.
understand why you would just want to put the iPad there, but
Yeah.
also I think a lot of people don't understand the effects of doing that. So do you want to go into like the kind of negative impact it has on the
So
children?
essentially, I work with kids who are 8 years and under. So those years are their programming years. It's when they learn the most skills. And again, different parts of their brains are developing as well. I always say, whatever you place in front of them is what's going to take their brain, and what the sponge of their brain is really going to soak in. The effects of screen addiction is so scarily similar to just any type of addiction, whether it's drugs, alcohol. You have the lack of sleep, the lack of eating, the behavior, the aggression, the fidgetiness. There's so much that is affecting their development, the developmental delays, the speech delays. One of the
Because they're
things,
watching all of these programs that are the characters are all mute.
yeah,
Marsha and the Bear.
quiet,
I hate
quiet,
that show.
or like
don't even know
whatever
what that is.
language. It's
So
a
Marsha and the Bear, there's a little girl. She looks dressed a bit like Red
Goldilocks
Riding Hood
and
yeah.
yeah.
And she talks to all of these animals, but none of them speak back. And she gets whatever she wants from all of these people.
That's
all
an actual
animals.
cartoon
It's crazy.
that the kids are addicted to.
Yeah,
Then you got
they
Baby
love
Shark
it.
as a song that they're addicted to, which says absolutely nothing. So a lot of parents don't understand, and I say this all the time, the iPad and the devices are an enemy of your child's progress. It's an enemy of your child's progress because the people who have created any of these things that your child is obsessed with created it in the space of for them to be just busy with something, but not for them to actually learn or grow. This is a money maker for them. The more times your child watches, the more clicks they have, the more money they make. And that's it. It has no educational background. It has no value to the child. I also say like technology is an aid for children if it's used in the best way, right? If you utilize it and give it to them in bite sizes, then that's fine. Because I don't think all technology is wrong. It's just anything that they have too much of is never going to be okay. An example is when you give children too many sweets. What do you say to them? Oh, your stomach's going to hurt if you have too many sweets. Imagine we just left them all day to have sweets and chocolate and crisps, and how would they turn out?
They'll
I
be
mean,
vomiting.
that's basically my life right now.
And we're adults.
I feel, you know, it's mad that you said about the replacement of something, because I feel like for me, when I'm bored, my go-to, like say if I'm at home and I'm bored, my go-to is I'm on my phone, or I might put on like Netflix and just be like looking for something to watch and spend an hour trying to find something to
Yeah.
watch. and then if I don't do that, I'm snacking. So it's always like there's something I'm trying to. So like what do you like at Unplugged? What do you do to, I guess, help wean people off of being addicted to?
Being addicted. I think one of the biggest things is, number one, embrace the boredom. I always say it's okay to embrace the boredom. It's okay for a child to be sitting in a space in the house that has nothing, no devices. We call it the unplugged zone. I always say whatever corner you can find in your house that's unplugged, has no devices, nothing. You don't even have to have much. It doesn't even, it costs you more to actually get them the devices than for them to be unplugged. The other biggest thing I always say is spending quality time with your children. I don't have children myself, so I know it's easy to say, do this and do that and be this type of person, be this type of parent, but really and truly, it's replacing something. And a lot of the times it's that affection, it's that love. They're only going to be children for this amount of time. They'll be adults for the rest of their life, but to be kids, it's only a short amount of time. And then I always say, children, watch what we do, not what we say. And if we're going to say, do not use your devices, then they have to see us off it as well. They have to see us be unplugged. They have to see, because they'll tell you, they'll be like, Miss Anisa, you're not unplugged. Why should I be? So you have to show them by example. And the other thing is, like, I always say, the life online and on our social devices, even as us, like, as adults, it's exhausting for us as adults to maneuver. Imagine them as young kids. Imagine how many tabs are open in their brain, how much things are processing all at once, how that's just filtering them and like coming into their young minds and shaping their thinking, A good example I can give is when we were younger, my mom used to, when we'd come into the house, she'd be like, okay, the minute you step into this house, you can only speak Somali. English is outside the door. And I used to think like, Mom, like, you're being a bit much because like, we're going to talk to each other, you're not going to hear us. But now as an adult, I know she was trying to preserve the language. As a grown woman, being able to speak more than one language is a benefit. You have things coming into your home through your device that you have no control over. Your child is watching something you do not understand. How do you feel as a parent that your child has all this information and access to all these things that you just don't know? It's scary. It's really scary.
Obviously, for these busy parents, and not even just parents, but also teachers, like you just put them on the carpet and throw something on the screen and whatever.
Yes. Yep.
What easy or simple activities can you advise parents and teachers to put out there for these children? Because boredom is great and we can try it, but everyone's had that 5-year-old, I'm bored. Give me something to do. What kind of small activities that do you recommend that will stimulate these kids?
I would say, number one, if they are of speaking age, ask them, what would you like to play with today? What would you like to do? What game can you tell them to come up with a game? What game should we play? You know what? Henry, you're in charge of today's game. You're in charge of today's activity. So give them that moment to be imaginative and creative. They take that charge, and it's so cute to see them actually do it. And they'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And then for us as adults too, because again, as much as I can say screen addiction is is happening with young children, it's really happening as a community. And so like with the Unplugged initiative, I work with kids. I've now started working with the nannies. So I do a nanny training program because the nannies are so plugged. It's wild. They'll be on their phone and the kid is literally about to fall off something and they have no idea. And I'm like, hey, they chat, So it's like the nannies, the children, the parents as a community. So yes, we can give them activities. We can buy so many different things, but give it back to them. Throw the question back to them. Take that responsibility off of your shoulder of feeling like, how do I give them fun? And let fun be something that they want to have and that they create and that they do.
You know what would be interesting? I think there's a way you can check like your average screen time on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Shall we compare our screen times and see?
I think
mine is definitely off.
How do you find it? I think mine's like 7 hours.
Settings, go to settings.
Oh, you've got to turn it on. It has to be
Screen
something
time.
that's on. Where is it? Settings, screen time. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Oh,
you've been asleep.
Did
for
you turn it
half the
on?
day. Yeah, mine's been on. It
Mine
tells me
wasn't
every
on.
week.
Mine's just on.
Mine's 5 hours and
I loved
52
it.
minutes today. That is my daily average.
5
from today.
hours, 52 minutes.
But I'm not gonna lie. It's normally more than that.
I'm hoping mine's less than yours.
Let's see. Yeah, mine wasn't on either.
Mine is an average of 7 hours a day.
7 hours. Wait a minute. Did you just pull out another phone? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't work when you've got two phones.
No, but see, my daily average is 57 minutes.
No, but he pulled that out. That was the second phone.
That is the work phone. That does not
That
count.
came out of somewhere else.
But what's mad is though that this is supposed to be my work phone, and it's 57 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that this is probably higher
phone.
than Achasa's one.
Yes, my average is about 7 hours
a day.
Yeah, it's quite high. I'm not gonna lie. I've been trying to get
but
down,
I don't know.
But I do work on my phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you're working on your phone as well, because if you are working on your phone, it could be a little bit tricky to manage because you actually, again, you've got to break it down. Like what's useless and what's useful, and how do you measure that? You know,
It's hard.
Yeah.
Let me not even go.
because like you were saying, like sometimes we'll just be on social media scrolling for no reason, and it just takes too much time and energy that we don't need.
Yeah.
Really
You know.
And so do you find that like, because you said, what do you say, 0 to 8 is when kids are most impressionable?
Yes,
they're like a sponge, right? So do you find it's more challenging to wean people off addiction after those 8 years?
Adults, my friends. It's harder to my people. It's harder to wean children who are in their like impressionable years, like teenage years, or going through puberty, off of devices. It has to be something that they've chosen to do. And then it's even harder to wean adults off because there's always an excuse. I have this thing with my friends where they hate me for it, but we'll be like going out and we'll be catching up. And then I'll just be like, okay, guys, let's just all put our phones down. And then we'll put our phones down for a period of time. And I'll say, whoever picks up the phone first has to pay. The problem is they don't care. So they'll be like, I'll pay. Like, you know, and you see it. And I'm like, see, who's gonna budge first? But again, the addiction is there. Screen addiction is real. It's leading, and a lot of people don't see it because they think it's a part of their day-to-day. But struggle doesn't have to be day-to-day. We don't have to go through. There's a lot more people sad, depressed, burnt out. A lot of that, if you take away devices, you will see such a change. I went to, this is so cliche, but I went to Bali, right? And I did a 3-day yoga retreat where it was silence. That they take your phone, they take everything. You've got to basically eat, sleep, wherever they tell you to, and you work out, you do all these things. The first day was the hardest. The first day was like, okay, like rehab. I'm shaking and shivering and itching. Oh, I need my phone. I need to check. Oh, I need to take a picture of this. And I was like, wow, like me, I'm preaching this and I'm struggling. Why? Why am I struggling? And it wasn't because I wanted my phone to be on social media or whatever. It was like I was all of a sudden there's 1,001 things I have to say or message people or take pictures of. But what I found was after the 3 days, I found my mind to just be at peace. I don't know how to explain it better than like, imagine you've just got like a whirling like feeling in your mind constantly. Like right now we're having a conversation. I'm pretty sure there's 10 tabs open in your brain about things you have to get done. I'm pretty sure the same for you. I'm pretty sure you're thinking about messages you have to send. And it's like, that's not normal. That's just not normal.
So now coming away from the retreat and you have your device, how do you keep that sense of peace?
Okay, so me personally, can I share with you guys how I unplugged myself? And my friends think it's the craziest thing. So number one, I don't have data on my phone. I do not have data on my phone. Like I don't have a plan. On days where I need to go to Dubai and I need like something, whatever, I just go on the Etisalat app. Shameless plug for bloody Etisalat, but like go on the Etisalat app and just kind of
Other networks are available.
It's like try other things. So on days where I do need some type of data or some type of connection, if I'm going to Dubai or a different place, I'll just pay 5 dirhams, 3 dirhams for the day, and then just get like a set amount. So 500 megabytes or 1 gigabyte of data for that moment. And then it's done. So not having data on my phone, you've got 2 phones. So I don't know how
I don't think I can, even, I'm the sort of person, like even before I fly away on holiday, I'm already buying my data for the destination where I'm going to.
I've lived here for however many years. I've never had data on my phone, ever.
Wow.
I do not have data on my phone. So that's saved my mind. So when I'm driving...
I do sometimes, I need to do it again, but at one stage I removed data from Instagram.
Oh.
So then you can remove data from certain apps. So I can't just be on Instagram at any point in the day.
Yeah.
I have to like allocate time. Do you know what I mean? When I'm at home,
I like that.
or whatever. So if you don't want to go as far
as this, that's a good alternative.
You can just do it for certain apps. And I know that's Instagram will steal my time.
Yeah. I like that. So you could do that. So if you don't want to be as extreme as
me, it's WhatsApp. I actually think WhatsApp probably takes up more of my time than Instagram.
But are you working on WhatsApp as well?
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, I think. Yeah, like a lot of the time that's the thing as well. Like a lot of the time I am on my phone, but it's always, you know, like you said, you got 10 tabs open. It's always work or something. You know, it's not like I'm just gossiping in the group chat, you know, about something. There is always like, I mean,
or something to talk about. Yeah. So yeah, for me, no data on my phone. I also don't have credit on my phone. So like I'll put in credit specifically so I can call. When I'm driving or when I'm going from place to place, I have certain podcast episodes or music downloaded. So then I know I'm specifically going to listen to this, specifically going to have this playing. So that's my unpluggedness.
You're very intentional.
I don't have a TV in my house at all. I've never had a TV.
Okay.
I don't watch TV.
Do you
if
read
I have to watch... Yeah, book or I like.
So what do you do?
Javali's like, so how do you? The thing is, I put these things in place for myself because I know you have to know your boundaries, right? So it's like I already know if I could, I would sit in front of the TV and just binge watch things, but I don't want to get lost in that. So ever since I've moved here, I've just never bought a TV. The first year I was like, I don't really need it, and then I've just live like that. But I do read books. I do go out. My thing is going for walks, going to the beach. We're so blessed. I think it's such a little thing that we have here. It's just like we have so much available, especially these months where it's cooler, to be able to walk outside at night and detach. And because my friends know that I'm unplugged and that I don't have data and like they'll send me something, I'll be like one tick, they'll be like, oh, she's unplugged. It's helped me manage my friendships and my relationships better with people because it's like I'm not constantly available. And they know that if they're talking to me for a certain amount of time. And even for myself, if I'm talking to people, if I'm having conversations, it's a certain amount of time. And I've actually put credit on my phone to call you, or I've actually put data on my phone for this moment to come see you. It's all planned. It's all me setting a boundary.
More meaningful.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. Listen, I know not everyone can do this. I know this. My family think I'm crazy. But it's honestly saved me, but it's also helped me stay true to what I'm preaching. I can't be all about being unplugged and not be that myself. Again, kids will watch me and be like, well, you know, and I post a lot on social media, right? So because people will be like, oh, you take pictures, you post on social media, but it's at a set time. Most of the time I'll post at the end of the day, or first thing in the morning after I've woken up and had whatever. But I'm only on social media at a specific time to do this because I don't have data.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the way that society is designed at the moment, and even technology and the convenience, especially somewhere like in Dubai, you know, there's apps like InstaShop. Because I was just thinking about, say, like years ago when I was a kid, and you know, like times when I probably didn't have like social media and stuff, and it was like, when were those unplugged moments in my life? And some of them were like something as simple as like walking to a supermarket, because you know, or like I must confess, and this sounds bad, but like I can't tell you the last time I stepped foot in a supermarket.
Really? Javadi, that's your project.
Spinnies.
Where's your
phone? Don't get me wrong, like, no, it sounds no, but I mean,
because it's easy.
It's just easy, like there's InstaShop, and it's true. You know, so don't get me wrong, I order from Spinnies.
I need to take you inside.
No, we gotta go inside.
We need to go in.
You gotta smell the fruits and veggies.
I've been inside.
The vegetable.
And feel them.
Yeah.
No, you got. That's another thing I don't do. I've never bought anything online. I don't buy clothes online.
That's good.
Things because at least I'm walking into a mall. I'm walking into a supermarket. Okay, so can I set you homework?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we delete your InstaShop? And your grocery shop has to be in a grocery store.
Did you see his money go down?
But no, do you know what it is? Yeah, like
just one task.
No, I could do that for like a period of time, you know. But the thing for me as well is that it's in me now going to Spinneys. That's going to take me 20 minutes to get to Spinneys.
Yeah,
and then it's going to take me, I don't know, however long to do the shopping. and then
You're not
20
gonna
minutes
wanna
or
do
so
it.
to come back home.
Okay.
So I've now lost an hour when I could use that hour elsewhere.
What would you have been doing?
Like I
Netflix.
could have been, no, not even Netflix. I could have been, like responding to an email.
See, it's
I could
all
have been-
online.
Yeah. But it's
I know.
progression
I believe we were talking about, me and my friend were talking about it in the car. I believe for paying for convenience, right? I will pay a cleaner to come because I don't have time to clean. I'll pay for laundry. I'll pay for convenience, yes. But something that has more than one thing that you can benefit from, like going to the supermarket, I feel like is, especially, I don't know if you have children, but if you don't have children yet, like, because when you have them kids, you're not going to want to go to the supermarket with all the kids. Like if you can physically just walk in and do a shop for you, your partner, like just a quick little thing and walk in and walk back out, I think that's worth being unplugged for.
I think
that's your one unplugged activity for the month, then do it.
But so for example, when I was living in London, I was like a 7-minute walk from Tesco.
Okay.
So I would walk to Tesco. Like
Okay.
even in COVID, like obviously COVID, you had no choice.
Yeah.
But even in COVID and prior to COVID, whereas now there's no spinnies within walking distance.
No.
So I will have to. I
Drive.
don't even know the direction to spinning,
Yeah,
so
it's a bit-
I'll have to use Waze. So I'm using the screen anyway. To get
You said to get to where I'm going.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out. But yeah, it's finding, maybe that could be a bit of an inconvenience, but finding moments in your routine. Like I know you said earlier that you go to the gym and stuff, so that's probably your unplugged moment without the music that you're listening to. But just we have moments, but I think for me specifically, like I really am very, very particular about how I use devices. And if there are moments, like again, I don't shop online. I don't have a card that's connected to any type of online shop. I go, if I need to buy an outfit, if I need to buy anything, I put that into my schedule. That for me means I'm physically walking into somewhere. I'm having a conversation with someone, because living here, you really just, you're on, if like me, if you're on your own, you don't really see people unless you want to see people. So like going in and going for a shop and saying hi to the shopkeeper and having those type of like moments where you speak to complete strangers and just kind of have a good, you never know when the last time someone spoke to them or said anything to them. So these little bits and pieces, I think for me, make this whole unplugged journey worthwhile and keep me a little bit more sane and humble.
It seems like it just makes everything in your life much more intentional.
Yeah.
Because like
Wildly intentional.
if you're thinking about going to the gym, you might plan gym. Okay, I'm going gym, so I want to eat well, so I'm going to go Spinneys or whatever supermarket to buy exactly what I want. And then when you're buying exactly what you want, you then cook exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So it has a great domino effect. Whereas I'm the same as you, Jeff. I will just order on InstaShop whatever I want there and then, and maybe I don't cook it, or maybe I do, or it's whatever. Instead of actually being intentional like yourself, I'm thinking through each and every step.
Yeah.
It's like freestyle vibes.
Yeah,
Really. Like,
freestyle.
He's a freestyle. Yeah.
It's like even today, like my barber's appointment, I just booked it this morning online. You know, whereas like in the past I'd have to be like, okay, the barbers, they don't even have, like, they never used to have like scheduling them out.
Yeah.
First of all, you just walk in and wait.
So my Saturday was a
Wait your
write-off.
time.
I'd be like, I get there at 10 a.m. and I'm leaving at 2
You're
p.m.
still
and stuff. So
sitting.
it's like, I get it. Maybe we should set a challenge. I don't know. Of
An
some
unplugging
sort.
challenge.
An unplugged challenge. I don't know.
We could do an unplugged challenge. Finding, and even to the listeners, just if you do anything routine, try to change something and completely go offline. Whether it's supermarket, shopping, for other things online, just whatever it is, try to take one thing and make that an unplugged activity. And you will see it makes such a difference. It really, really makes even to the around you, like my friends, they just know. Even my mum will be like calling me and she'll be like, I called her on WhatsApp, she doesn't have data. So she'll call me on like a phone card. When was the last time someone called you using a phone card? My mum will get a phone card and she'll call me, and I know I only have her for the £5, so I make sure I spend time talking to. So it changes everything.
Yeah.
It really changes everything.
With this whole journey through looking at addiction, obviously we're focusing on addiction to screens, but has it highlighted to you any other addictions that you have in your life that you had to combat?
Yeah, I think my mindset, being someone who starts anything, and I know with you both starting this podcast, and it's like you being your own boss has had, like for me, has had like such a crazy effect on me, because I went from working a government job to being an entrepreneur, being my own boss, being in charge of myself and facing myself and being like, oh, actually, you're not disciplined with your time. you're not disciplined with the way you are around other people. Like I had to, again, being intentional really started from being an entrepreneur, because I had to be set boundaries for myself and the way I acted, because it literally was costing me money. You know, if one thing isn't in line or I miss something, then it all has a triple effect. So I had to really just face me. And facing myself was probably the hardest experience, because it's all good and well to look at what other people have done to you or what other people are doing. But when you look in the mirror and you're like, well, actually, you have these characteristics that are not so nice, these attributes that are not so nice, you have to change them. That's a little bit of a traumatic experience in itself. So I had to look at myself and be like, girl, switch it up. And it's a work in progress. I don't think I'm perfect. I think there are things that I need to really work on. But the biggest challenge or addiction issue was the things that I wasn't, changing myself. So I had to do that, yeah.
No, that's good. If someone came up to you now, obviously I know you focus on, I guess, screen time and whatnot, but if someone came up to you and was like, I've got a crazy addiction to sugar, or I've got, I snack, or I'm kind of thinking about myself as well as I ask this, but also, someone could come to you with a completely different addiction. Are there any kind of like fundamental sort of, I guess, methods that, like universal methods that someone could adopt to
change it?
Their addiction to kind of...
Addiction is always covering something else. What's the root issue? Even with children, a lot of the times that they're addicted to screens, when I've taken all of that away, we found that they've actually have other issues like ADHD, or they're autistic, or there's something else wrong. So it's like, when you are snacking or when you are addicted to these sweets and things, or what's the core issue? You've got to trace it back. Was it something that you were not allowed to have as a child, or something that was restricted, or something you weren't allowed to be around? There's always a core problem, and this addiction is just the top, because it's something you're fascinated on. It's interesting because a lot of people, as much as they're addicted to things, people can be addicted to other people. And like, for example, if you are in a relationship with someone, or you're married to someone who isn't great for you, they could be abusing you mentally, physically, emotionally, but you're just attached to them. It's just covering something that was missing, whether it was in their childhood, being with their parents, or the father wasn't around, or the mother wasn't around. There's always something missing. So once you can identify what the root of the problem is, then you can actually seek the help. Because I don't think addiction or beating addiction is something that you do by yourself. You need help. And that's where I come in. And a lot of the times, even if it's beyond me, I will refer my clients to therapists, to doctors, to different institutions that can give them additional help once we've uncovered what the issue is. And then just kind of upkeep things that they can do to make sure that, it doesn't happen again.
Are there any questions that you can advise that people should ask themselves to find out what the root cause of their addiction is?
A lot of times people won't ask themselves that question. There are questions you can ask, like, what's wrong? What am I hiding from? But a lot of times, if they've chosen to mask the addiction with something else, then it's a runaway tactic, right? And my mom used to have this saying in Somali. She used to be like, oh, when the wall hits you, you'll be back. Meaning you've run so far that you've hit the wall. So sometimes something happens that uncovers the issue. And sadly, people won't understand until that thing has happened, whether it's you've crashed and, had a situation with someone, whether it's if you're a child, your parents have realized that, you're not sleeping, eating, drinking, something is wrong. There's always a thing. Once you reach that point, that's when you start to look back. I really hope a lot of people can understand that their addiction can be stopped before they've reached that point, but sadly, that's not the case. So, yeah.
And your work with addiction has led to you getting some nominations as well, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's good.
I've got some Entrepreneur of the Year Award nominations and some other ones, but I think it's a little crazy for me because I'm always kind of I didn't go into this for the awards and stuff, but when you look back and you're like, okay, well, I've done this for this amount of years, it's really nice to be like, okay, actually, we're getting somewhere. And on the days that it's hard, because there are a lot of hard days when you're running your own business. It's a lot more hard days than good days. And on the days that it's hard, it's like, okay, well, actually, you've changed so-and-so's life. The phone call I get from a parent telling me, oh, by the way, so-and-so has introduced his cousins to one of the things I have is something called an unplugged box, where the kids can take like an old shoebox or something and put their favorite toys in, and that's what they play with when they're bored. Take it in the car, take it wherever. So parents will be like, oh yeah, by the way, so-and-so has introduced the unplugged box to his cousins, or he's taken it to his grandma's house, or he's done this with it. Those for me is like moments of like happiness and gratitude. You know?
Very special.
So, yeah.
Are there any other like tips and tricks that you can offer the listeners to help with their own addictions?
Honestly, if you feel like any of the symptoms and things that we've spoken about is you, I would say like seek help. I know in this part of the world there isn't really much for addiction, but I would say seek help or speak about it, or, you know, contact me. Shameless plug.
Where can people contact you?
The Unplugged Initiative, and I'll share the information with you as well. But more than anything, I think it's important to understand that a lot of times people are battling things we don't know. And we need to be able to be cautious of how we are around other people. You need to be more kind as a community to people because we don't know what people are battling. And also just understanding that anything, I saw this quote the other day and I love it, anything you're not changing, you're choosing, which I think is incredible to remember. Like if you are not actively changing this addiction or you're not making a difference, then you're choosing to keep it. This is something you're comfortable with. So I always say, change what you can. And either you can worry about it too much or you can pray about it. You just got to do one. You can't do both. So if there is something that you are concerned about, there's always an option to change it. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. And we have a closing tradition as well. But before we do that, actually, have you got any plans to like release any books? I feel like...
Yes.
You know,
so I've got 3 already.
Yeah. Tell us about those so that people know.
One of the books, my first book is How Electronics Stole Childhood. It's a parenting guide. And it helps parents maneuver and understand if their child is addicted, recognizing the signs and activities that they can do with their child to kind of get off of that. That's on Amazon. And my other 2 books, Offline is the New Luxury, is also something that I've done for adults, which is basically just kind of recognizing that you can be offline and enjoy life. And the last one I released this year is called I Can't Put My Phone Down, which is for us because we can't put our phones down.
I'm going to order a copy of that today. Yeah.
I should have brought copies for you guys. I'll bring some copies for you guys. But I Can't Put My Phone Down. It's for us. It's for us adults who just... It's so interesting because right now we've probably in this like 40-minute or hour, we've probably touched our phones at least 2 or 3 times, knowing we're not supposed to. But it's like people really can't go a day without their phone. I was saying just this morning, like I left the house, I forgot my phone. I was going to pick up my friend and then I was like, oh, I can't message him to come downstairs. I had to go back home, get my phone. So it's like we're so addicted to our phones, so we can't actually put it down. It's a problem.
Yeah,
so yeah.
So those are all on Amazon, yeah?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
I'll share that.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a closing tradition, and it's if you could, and I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but if you could choose one rule for everyone to follow in the world, what would it be and why?
I love this. If I could choose one rule that people could follow in the world, I would choose that people have a day that they're unplugged.
One day a week?
Unplugged day. I'll say one day a month because one day a week would be too hard for everyone. But one day a month where you're completely unplugged, where all your devices are shut down. There is no device, whether it's a laptop, a computer, a phone, iPad, whatever, Apple Watch, Whoop, whatever technology device you have, completely. And I would want for that day to be a day that people focus on just enjoying their presence wherever they are, their surroundings, taking in the people that they have around them. Because one of the saddest parts about device addiction now is that we are losing touch with people. And even though the person is right next to us or around us or in our vicinity, because we're so in our device, we are not connecting physically with people. And I feel like if we could have a day where we're unplugged and everyone just kind of sits around, has a game night, talks, communicates, I really do feel like that one day a month will turn into more than that. So my one rule would be an unplugged day.
I love it.
And for you to delete InstaShop.
You know, when you said about the whole like Apple Watch Whoop, I was like, well, actually, I'd have an unplugged Sunday and go for a run. But I'm like, how will I track? How will I record my...
Just run. Yeah. Everyone's like, I have to track. I have to. The one that gets me is the picture that everyone takes of what you do. That, don't you?
No, not anymore. Not
Okay.
anymore. Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I've evolved.
But
Okay.
he is wearing an Apple Watch and a Whoop currently.
Oh
right now.
wow.
Yeah.
And has two
I like
phones in his
data.
pocket.
I think you're about to be my next client, Giovanni. I think we
but
might have.
I like
to.
like obviously when I'm say training for something, data is important. So
For who?
data is important in order to mark where you're at and mark how you can improve.
For who?
For me, like.
But you can't see the improvement in your own body.
No,
Does
but
it have to be?
No, but I'm talking about, you know, if for example I run, like for example, I'm training to kind of get my 5K pace faster, and so I can't just, you know, do a 5K run and then do another one and not know what time I done it in. And
What for who?
what do you mean?
For who?
For me?
I know, but for who?
But you can technically check the time and then run and check the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I need to know the splits. You know, I need to know my 1K splits. You speak to any athlete. Like, I'm not even.
I know where you're coming from, but the core thing that I'm trying to get to is all of this was introduced to us, right? And it became something that we need to know. But do we need to know?
It's a preference. I don't think we know. We don't think we need to know, but
And
that's
that's where So then that's where again you become unplugged because then you start to realize, do I need it? Do I need data on my phone all day? No, I can survive. Everywhere has Wi-Fi. Everywhere.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Why don't you just just say it once again, like where people can get hold of you and stuff?
Okay, so Anisa Unplugged on Instagram, but the Unplugged Initiative on all our socials. You can just send me a DM or an email and we will get back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been really, really interesting.
you,
I am
guys.
now going to remove data from Instagram again.
Yay. I love
That's
this for
gonna be
us.
Great.
Yeah. Let's see if you have any stories like in your Insta stories.
Yeah.
I'll do it at the start of the day and the end
Start
of
the
the
day
day.
or the end of the day. I was a chunk of content all at once. Even if I did it yesterday, it's just chuck it on.
Yeah.
People don't need to know where you are at every moment, actually. They don't.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, unless you're promoting something.
Yeah.
And if you're promoting something, then fine. You know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.